Hello, everybody. Welcome to session 32 of Campaign 4. Hold person for the win. Man, I wonder what happens in this episode, huh? Last we left off, we just got chased by a big Indiana Jones style a skeleton zombie ball that had an impenetrable field around it where we couldn't damage the skeletons at all. And we're chased down some corridors of rubble and forced to make some choices through some obstacles. And we're led into a big open chamber that was like a rail station. And we were met by some nine hellhounds that we were managed to fight and kill after a somewhat arduous fight. I mean, Desperado went down twice. He got messed up pretty bad, and he was the healer, so that was also very, very bad. But as we brought him back up and we recovered a little bit and had a second to breathe, PJ, which is Hideo's apprentice, stepped out of a doorway and was flanked by two white bodyguards, like, ghostly, warrior creatures of some sort. And that's where we ended the session. We're picking up right there where we start combat immediately, and PJ gets the first shot off with a fireball that did a grueling amount of damage, and it was quite horrific. Durian, who was the closest, rushed on in and held the door, making sure that none could pass, and was just swiping at the whites and swiping at PJ, and hit PJ pretty hard, and hit PJ extra hard with a critical hit, and then was fending off and taking uh, attacks from all three things in the room. Uh, Peter kind of threw a fireball in there and ensured PJ's grisly death. He rest his soul is not coming back. After that, and killing the whites, uh, looking back around, we see Hideo in a hole in the ceiling, aura farming, probably with a flapping cape of some kind. You got the mental image, and he didn't even like. I don't even think he did a monologue or nothing. He just instant circle death spell, hit everybody but Durian because he was in another room, and Kevin and Desperado were knocked unconscious again because Desperado's lost like 3 pints of blood, and Kevin is just a guy in some armor at this point with some issues. He always going to the bathroom before fights, and the Corpse King, which is the ball of skeletons and zombies, rolls up and hits a bunch of people like a pinball machine with multi-ball active. It was just going everywhere in the room, one after the other. Kevin, unfortunately, gets absorbed into the flesh ball while Edward gets Desperado back on his feet before flying up to try and grapple Hideo and bring him down to the rest of us so we can, wail on him. He's unable to do it, unfortunately, but he does create an opening for Peter to cast Hold Person. It's the name of the episode! And it holds. Seeing the tie of the battle tip, Durian goes outside the room. He's been inside and having a knuckle down brawl in and goes to meet Hideo and try and take him out. Hideo, the sorcerer, he breaks free from the spell. Big surprise there. Um, but after his turn, he's able to be put under the spell again. He's paralyzed, and that's where Edward, upset that he couldn't get him, really lays into him with some damning damage. He tears into him, claws asunder and the like. Peter gets the final blow, however, with a chromatic orb, bouncing it from zombie ball to like a white that was left, and then to a paralyzed Hideo who is on the ground, and he falls unconscious. Durian takes out the zombie ball and the last wipe, or the last white, and makes sure there's no other enemies around. Peter, who was kind of a noble in the Feywild, or was at least doing some shady stuff in the Feywild. Kind of the same thing, really, if you think about it. Uses his psionic arts to read the mind of Hideo using detect thoughts as he's, slowly bleeding out and dying. And gets some info on his last meeting with the Master, like his boss, the head necromancer. During that, for sure, he was going to die if we let him live. He was in a position where he either kills us, the party, or he will die trying, and he died trying. We learned some troop numbers, about some undead and a couple hundreds and a location where the master resides. Surprise, surprise! It's a big, ominous, scary tower. Um, After that, we put out the cart that's on fire from the fireball flames. Kevin is retrieved from the ball of flesh and is healed from his dying state. And we looted both of the dead wizards. One being an apprentice, but Hideo had most of the cool stuff. PJ, rest his soul, just some gold. Hideo, by the way, we did not let him live. We let him bleed out and die. We confirmed the kill, actually, I believe. If you're interested, we had a parapet of wound closure that went to Durian, a ring of mind shielding that was rolled for between Edward and Peter, but Edward got it, a cloak with a mana ray that went to Peter, who can swim now, and amulet to health. Um, Desperado was gifted it by Peter, as health went up by 22 points, which is pretty substantial. We also got Hideo's Heart, which had 3 unrecoverable charges to regain a 4th level or lower spell slot, um, which is pretty good for the spellcasters, but for a little barbarian like me, it doesn't matter that much. However, we do have a bag of holding now. It had 3 vials of carrion mucus, which has a DC 13 con save, or you become paralyzed, which Peter took, because of course Peter took it. It's kind of his jam. Then we also got a bunch of money, like a bunch of black sapphires and onyx, because of course a wizard has to be edgy, and a necromancer needs black gems, whatnot. We also got a portable hole, which does see use very, very soon, and we loot PJ for all he was worth. Rest his soul. He had 38 gold pieces on him. We split up all the spoils amongst the group, make sure everyone gets an item, make sure everyone gets some money, and then we level up to level 7 and take a quick nap. That was all for session 32. I'll see you next time.